I need you to know something. I'm 12 weeks pregnant. Rebecca said those words on a Tuesday. At my parents' dinner table, my fork was halfway to my mouth. Pot roast, the kind my mother makes with too much pepper and enough love to make you forget. The fork stopped. Just stopped. I didn't drop it. I held it there, suspended, while my wife smiled at my mother and father, then turned to look at me. "It's Marcus's baby," she said. "And before you say anything, this is happening. Deal with it." My mother's wine glass hit the table. Not hard enough to break, just hard enough to make that hollow sound that fills a silent room. My father's hand froze on his knife, and my 7-year-old niece, Emma, looked up from her drawing with those wide brown eyes that still believed adults made sense. I set my fork down, carefully, the way you set down something fragile when your hands want to break it. "Noted," I said, just that one word. Then I went back to cutting my pot roast. The meat was tough. It required focus, sawing motions, precision. My father cleared his throat. My mother made a sound like a wounded bird. Rebecca's smile faltered, just for a second, and I saw it. Confusion. Then something else. Something that looked like fear, because she'd expected me to explode, to flip the table, to grab my brother by his throat when he walked in 20 minutes later. All smiles and cologne, and that watch I'd bought him for his birthday. She'd orchestrated this whole thing. Family dinner, witnesses, the ultrasound photo she slid across the table like it was proof of something other than her planning. And I'd responded with one word: noted. Nobody knew that word would cost them everything. Marcus arrived at 7:47. I know because I checked my phone. I was documenting everything now, even if I didn't know why yet. He walked into my parents' living room wearing the confidence of a man who thought he'd already won. The watch caught the light. Swiss automatic $8,000 retail. I'd bought it because he said he'd always wanted one. Because I'm the older brother. Because that's what I did. "Danny," he said, using the nickname I'd asked him to stop using when we were 14. He clapped my shoulder, squeezed. "You doing okay, brother?" I smiled. I'd been practicing that smile in the bathroom mirror for the last hour while everyone pretended to eat dessert. It was the smile you give someone when you're deciding whether to save them or watch them drown. "I'm processing," I said. "That's good. That's real good." He sat down next to me on the couch, too close, the way he always did when he wanted something. "Look, I know it's complicated, but Rebecca and we didn't plan this." "No? It just happened, you know? Chemistry. Can't fight chemistry." I nodded, took a sip of water. Not whiskey, even though my father had poured me 3 fingers of the good stuff. I needed a clear head. I needed to remember every word. "How long?" I asked. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Danny, I don't think—" "How long, Marcus?" "About a year, maybe 14 months, but we tried to stop. Multiple times. We just—" "14 months, I repeated. I pulled out my phone, opened the calendar, scrolled back. "So this started around, what, July last year? August? I don't know, man. I wasn't keeping track of—" "July," I said. "When Rebecca and I were trying for a baby. When we'd been trying for 6 months and she said we should see a specialist. When she cried because her period came and I held her and told her we had time." Marcus went pale, not full white, just that gray color people get when they realize they've said too much. "I'm not mad," I lied. "I just want to understand the timeline." "Danny, did you want coffee?" I stood up. I was going to make coffee. "You still take it black with 2 sugars?" He stared at me. "Since when do you— You're not going to—" "I'm not going to what, Marcus? Yell? Hit you? Make a scene at Mom and Dad's house?" I smiled again. Practiced. Perfect. I said I'm processing. Coffee helps me process. I walked to the kitchen, made 2 cups, French press the way he liked. I heard him on his phone in the living room, voice low, probably texting Rebecca, probably saying, "He's acting weird, something's wrong." He was right, something was wrong, but not in the way he thought. Marcus walked in, expecting a fight. I offered him coffee. That's when he should have run. At 2 a.m., Rebecca came to the guest room. I'd moved there after we got home, just took my pillow and my phone charger and closed the door. No explanation, none needed. She knocked. 3 soft taps, like she was asking permission to enter her own house. Daniel? I didn't answer. I was sitting on the bed with my laptop, looking at our joint bank account, numbers, transactions, patterns. I'm a software architect. I build systems. I find bugs. I notice when things don't add up. She opened the door anyway. She was wearing the nightgown I'd bought her for our anniversary. Silk, champagne-colored, expensive. She looked beautiful. She'd always looked beautiful. That was part of the problem. "Why aren't you angry?" she asked. I looked up. "Should I be?" "I just told you I'm pregnant with your brother's baby, Daniel. Most men would what? Hit something? Cry? Beg you to stay?" I closed the laptop. "Is that what you want?" "I want you to react, to say something, anything other than noted." I said I'm processing. "You've been processing for 6 hours." "It's a lot to process," I said. 12 weeks. That's the first trimester. You've known for, what, a month, maybe more, and you chose to tell me at my parents' house, with witnesses, with my 7-year-old niece at the table. That takes planning, Rebecca. That takes thought. She wrapped her arms around herself. I thought it would be easier, with people there. Easier for who? For you, so you wouldn't what? I stood up. Hurt you? Is that what you think of me? After 6 years of marriage, you think I'd hurt you? I don't know what you'd do. You're being so calm. It's scaring me. Good, I thought. But I didn't say it. Instead, I said, I need some time to think, to figure out what this means, what we do next. We? Her voice cracked. You mean you're not leaving? I don't know yet, I said, which was true. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I wasn't going to do it loud. I wasn't going to do it stupid. And I wasn't going to do it until I understood what game she was playing and why. She came to the guest room at 2 a.m., asked why I wasn't angry. I just wasn't stupid. I found the bank statements at 4 a.m., couldn't sleep, didn't want to. Sleep is where you let your guard down, and I needed my guard up. Needed it reinforced with steel and concrete and cold, hard numbers. Our joint account. The one we'd opened when we got married because she said separate finances felt like we didn't trust each other. The one she'd insisted on having full access to because what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. Except what was mine was apparently also Marcus's. 1,500. March 12th. Transfer to Marcus Thompson. Memo. Loan. 800. April 3rd. Same thing. 2,200. April 29th. I opened a spreadsheet. Started tracking. Went back through 18 months of statements. Downloaded the PDFs. Organized them by date, by amount, by recipient. The numbers added up to $47,000. $47,000. Paid out in increments small enough I wouldn't notice. Except, I'm a software architect. Pattern recognition is what I do. And this pattern was clear every Tuesday when I worked late, every time I was traveling, every time I wasn't watching. The paper was thick under my hands, institutional, cold. It smelled like toner and lies. 37 line items, $200 here, $1,500 there. Each one a small betrayal that added up to something massive. I ran my finger down the column of numbers. The ink didn't smudge, but everything else did. She'd called me her provider, her rock, the man who made it possible for her to quit her job and find herself. I had been proud of that. Proud I could give her the space to figure out what she wanted. Turns out what she wanted cost $47,000 and came with my last name. I wasn't angry, not yet. Anger is hot, messy, uncontrolled. What I felt was colder. It was the feeling you get when you're debugging code and you find the root cause. That moment of perfect clarity when you realize exactly where everything went wrong and exactly how to fix it. I saved the spreadsheet, backed it up to 3 different drives, encrypted it. Then I opened a new document and started writing. Timeline, evidence, facts, no emotion, just data. $47,000 missing from our joint account. All to Marcus, all while she called me her provider. Emma showed me the drawing on Thursday morning. I was making breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, the routine I'd maintained for 3 days now. Perfect husband, attentive, calm. Rebecca kept watching me like I was a bomb she'd forgotten to set a timer on. Uncle Danny? Emma tugged on my shirt. I made this for you. The paper was standard kid stuff, cheap, white, slightly bent at the corners where she'd gripped it too hard with her small hands. But the image stopped me cold. 2 stick figures holding hands under a tree. One taller, wearing what looked like a dress. One shorter, in pants. The tree was lopsided, the way kids draw trees, lumpy green circle on top of a brown rectangle. Hearts floating around them like confetti. That's pretty, sweetheart, I said, my voice on autopilot while my brain processed what I was seeing. It's Aunt Rebecca and Uncle Marcus, she said. At the park, remember? You asked me to draw happy memories for my art project. The crayon was waxy under my thumb, red for the hearts, blue for the sky, careful purple for the tree. She'd drawn them holding hands. Children don't draw lies. They draw what they saw. When did you see them at the park? I asked. Casual, like we were discussing the weather. Lots of times, but this was my favorite because Uncle Marcus bought me ice cream and told me it was our secret. See? She pointed to a brown blob I'd thought was a rock. That's the ice cream? What kind of secret? Just that we were there. He said you and Aunt Rebecca like to have alone time sometimes, so if they were together, I shouldn't tell you because it might make you sad you weren't invited. My hand tightened on the counter. When was this, Em? She pointed to the top of the page. In careful teacher-taught print, March 14th. March 14th. 6 months before the pregnancy announcement. 6 months into the affair. And my 7-year-old niece had been their unwitting accomplice, sworn to secrecy with ice cream and manipulation. I knelt down to her level. Emma, you didn't do anything wrong. Uncle Marcus was wrong to ask you to keep secrets from adults. Real secrets are about surprise parties and presents, not about people. Her eyes got wide. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart, not even a little bit, but I need this drawing for my office. Is that okay? She beamed. Really? You want to keep it? Really? After she left, I stood there holding the drawing and something cracked in my chest. Not for me, for her, for the kid who'd been used as a cover story, who'd been taught that love meant keeping secrets, who'd drawn this picture with those careful purple trees because she thought she was capturing something beautiful. Children don't lie with crayons. They just draw what they see. And Emma had seen enough. If you've ever had to swallow words that would have destroyed you, not because you're weak, but because you were playing a longer game, leave noted in the comments. Just that word. I'll know what it means. Sarah Mitchell's office smelled like leather and old law books. The kind of smell that says money and consequences in equal measure. She was 50-something, with gray hair she didn't bother dyeing, and a handshake that could crack walnuts. You came prepared, she said, looking at the folder I'd brought. 3 inches thick, color-coded tabs, chronological. Most people show up with their feelings. You showed up with evidence. I'm a systems architect, I said. I deal in proof. She opened the folder, scanned the first few pages. Her expression didn't change, but her finger stopped on one line, tapped it twice. 47,000 over 18 months. To the correspondent. She looked up. That's systematic. That's planning. And that's... She flipped to another tab. That's a violation of your prenuptial agreement. We have a prenup? You don't remember signing it? I remembered. 4 years ago, right before the wedding. Rebecca's father had insisted, said it was standard for his family. I'd been so in love, I would have signed anything. I barely read it. Sarah slid the document across her desk. 19 pages, stapled twice. The paper had yellowed slightly. 4 years of sitting in a file somewhere, waiting. She'd highlighted one section in aggressive yellow marker. Section 7, Clause C, she read. In the event of adultery, substantiated by concrete evidence, the non-offending party retains all marital assets, including real property, investment accounts, and business interests. The offending party forfeits all claims to marital property acquired during the union. She gets nothing? If you can prove infidelity, real proof, not suspicion, not her word against yours. Documented, time-stamped, ironclad proof. Sarah leaned back in her chair. How much proof do you have? I showed her. Bank statements. Emma's drawing with the date. The timeline I had built showing conception windows and travel schedules. She nodded at each one, made notes. Then she looked at me with something that might have been respect. This is good. This is very good. But I need more. I need her admitting it. I need medical records. I need something that walks into a courtroom and does the work for us. How do I get that? Carefully, she said. And legally, we're in a one-party consent state. That means you can record conversations you're part of without telling the other person. But the key word is part of. You need to be in the conversation. She pulled out a small digital recorder. Professional grade. The kind that picks up whispers from across a room. Voice activated, encrypted, admissible in court. She handed it to me. It was heavier than I expected. Cold metal, like holding a grenade. Get her talking about the affair, about the money, about Marcus and Daniel. Don't do anything stupid. Don't threaten. Don't coerce. Just let her talk. People like her can't help but talk. Here's my question for you. If you had ironclad evidence of betrayal, would you confront immediately, or would you gather every single piece of proof first, even if it meant months of pretending? Tell me, heart or strategy? Neither answer is wrong. The texts were worse than the money. I found them Thursday night. Not in her phone. She was too careful for that. But our cell plan had a family cloud backup. The kind neither of us had thought about in years. The kind that quietly saves every deleted message, every photo, every digital breadcrumb. I paid for premium recovery software. $300, worth every penny. The first text was from July 14th, last year, 14 months ago. Marcus, when are you telling him? Rebecca, soon. I need to time it right. Marcus, you said that last month. Rebecca, he's so trusting. It's almost sad. But I need him stable for a few more months. The promotion comes through in September. After that, we can do whatever we want. My promotion. The one that came with a 40% raise in stock options. The one she'd celebrated with me. Champagne in bed. Telling me how proud she was. How I deserved it. I kept scrolling. Hundreds of texts. Thousands, maybe. They talked every day. Sometimes in the afternoon while I was in meetings, sometimes at night when I thought she was texting her sister. Rebecca, March 3rd. He bought you a watch? God, he really is pathetic. Marcus, it's a nice watch. Rebecca, it's guilt money. He knows something's wrong, but he's too weak to ask. Perfect. Rebecca, September 19th. Pregnancy test came back positive. Marcus, what? Is it mine? Rebecca, does it matter? He'll think it is. And if he doesn't, we'll make him think it's yours. Either way, he's trapped. Marcus, this is insane. Rebecca, this is perfect. But she'd said she was 12 weeks pregnant. 12 weeks from the announcement was August, not September. The math didn't add up, unless... I opened a new tab, Googled pregnancy timelines. Conception windows. How long before a test shows positive? If she got a positive test September 19th, conception would have been early September, Maybe late August. That would make her about, I did the math, 14, maybe 15 weeks pregnant by the announcement, not 12. She'd lied about the timeline. Why lie about 2 weeks unless those 2 weeks mattered? Unless they proved something she didn't want proven? The text went back 14 months, but she said she was 12 weeks pregnant. The math didn't math. I became the perfect husband, made her favorite breakfast, French toast with cinnamon, the way her mother used to make it, asked about her prenatal vitamin schedule, researched baby names, suggested we start looking at nursery furniture. She watched me like I was a stranger wearing her husband's face. "Why are you being so nice?" she asked on Saturday morning. I'd just brought her breakfast in bed, tray with legs, orange juice, and the fancy glasses we saved for company. "You're carrying a baby," I said. "You need to be taken care of." "Daniel, I'm pregnant with your brother's baby." "I know." "And you're what? Just okay with that?" I sat on the edge of the bed. The recorder was in my pocket, voice activated. I'd been carrying it for 3 days, waiting for the right moment. "I'm not okay with it," I said. "But what are my options? Leave? Divorce you? Tear the family apart?" I took her hand. It was warm, soft. The hand I'd held through 6 years of marriage, 4 anniversaries, 2 miscarriages that maybe weren't miscarriages at all. Or I can adapt, find a way to make this work, for everyone. You do that? I don't know yet. I'm still processing, but I want to understand. How did it happen? With Marcus? When did it start? She pulled her hand away. Does it matter? It matters to me. It just happened. We were together at your birthday party last year. You were passed out drunk, do you remember? We were cleaning up and we just started talking. And then we kissed. And then my birthday party. July, while I was drunk. Well, I trusted both of them to exist in the same house without destroying my life. And the baby. What about it? When did you conceive? I don't know, Daniel. I'm not a calculator. But you're 12 weeks, so that would make conception around late August, early September. Why does it matter? I was in Seattle all of August, the big project launch. 2 weeks, remember? You called me crying because you missed me. She went very still. I don't remember the exact dates. I do, August 1st through August 16th. I have the travel receipts, the hotel confirmations, the GPS data from my work phone. I smiled. Practiced. Perfect. So, if conception was late August, early September, I wasn't here, which means it couldn't have been some accident, some moment of passion while I was in the next room. It was planned while I was gone, while you had the house to yourself. Daniel, I'm not angry, I lied. I just want the truth, all of it. How long, how many times, and why? Why tell me now? Why at my parents' house? Why make it public? She didn't answer, just stared at me with wide eyes that were calculating how much I knew and how much I was guessing. I stood up, picked up the breakfast tray. "Let me know when you're ready to talk," I said. "Really talk, because Rebecca, I can't build a future on lies. If we're going to do this, if I'm going to help raise Marcus's baby, I need the whole truth, not just the version you think I can handle." I left her there, in our bed, with her breakfast getting cold and her lies getting harder to maintain. I made her favorite breakfast, asked about doctor appointments, smiled when Marcus called. She started looking at me like I was broken. Good. The medical records took a week to get. I had to call in a favor from Tom, my best friend since college. He worked in hospital administration, knew how to navigate HIPAA without violating it. "You sure about this?" he asked when I explained what I needed. "I'm sure." "Danny, if you're wrong." "I'm not wrong, but I need proof. I need something a judge can't argue with." He got me the authorization forms, patient-requested medical records, perfectly legal. Rebecca had to sign, but I told her it was for insurance. High-risk pregnancy, need complete medical history. She signed without reading it. 3 days later, Tom called. "You're going to want to sit down for this." I was already sitting, in my car, parked outside our house, watching Rebecca through the living room window, talking on the phone, laughing at something someone said. Tell me. The dating ultrasound was done at her 12-week appointment, except according to the measurements, she was actually 14 weeks, 3 days. They corrected the date in her chart. Meaning conception was approximately August 27th, plus or minus 3 days. Danny, you were in Seattle, with 47 witnesses and GPS timestamps proving I was 900 miles away. Tom was quiet for a long moment. There's more. Go ahead. She's had 3 previous pregnancies according to her medical history. 2 resulted in early miscarriage. 1 resulted in termination. The termination was 18 months ago. February. 18 months ago, 2 months before the affair started. 2 months before any of this began. Did she tell you about any of this? Tom asked. No. She said we'd never been pregnant, that we'd been trying unsuccessfully for years. Danny, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just send me everything. Every scan, every report, every note in her chart. I need it all. The conception window, February 2008. Wait, no. August 27th. I was in Seattle that entire week for work, with witnesses, with time-stamped photos, with everything. The recording happened on Tuesday, exactly 1 week after I'd visited Sarah's office. 1 week of carrying that cold metal weight in my pocket, waiting for the right moment. Tom came over. I'd asked him to. Told Rebecca it was for moral support, that I needed my best friend to help me process everything. She'd agreed, said it was healthy, said she was glad I was finally talking about my feelings. We sat in the living room, Tom, Rebecca, and me. Coffee on the table, afternoon light coming through the windows. Everything normal, everything civil, the recorder in my pocket already running. Rebecca, I said, Tom knows everything, and he asked me a question I couldn't answer. I thought maybe you could help. She looked between us. What question? He asked me if the baby is really Marcus's. The color drained from her face, just for a second. Then she recovered. Of course it is. I told you. I know what you told me. But the timeline doesn't work. The medical records say conception was late August. I was in Seattle all of August. Marcus was in Chicago for his conference. I checked. 2 weeks, August 19th through September the 2nd. So, unless this baby has superpowers and can exist in 2 places at once, she stood up. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do. Tom's voice, calm, steady. Because Daniel deserves the truth, and Rebecca, lying now just makes it worse. I'm not lying. Then explain the timeline, I said. Explain how you conceived a baby with Marcus when neither of us were in the same state as you for 3 weeks. I don't remember exact dates. Maybe the doctors were wrong. Maybe it's not Marcus's baby at all. Silence, long and heavy, the kind that fills a room like water, drowning everything. Then she laughed. Actually laughed, sharp and bitter. Fine. You want the truth? It's not Marcus's. Happy now? Whose is it? Does it matter? Yes. It's probably Eric's, from accounting. We had a thing for a few months, until he got boring. But Daniel, the baby isn't the point. Then what is the point? Her voice changed, colder, all the pretense gone. The point is that you'll believe whatever I tell you. You always have. And when you find out it's not Marcus's, you'll be too embarrassed to do anything about it. You'll stay. You'll pay. You'll play the good husband while I do whatever I want. Because that's what you do, Daniel. You're the reliable one, the stable one, the one who never makes a scene. Tom made a sound, somewhere between shock and disgust. Rebecca kept going, like she'd been waiting to say this, like it had been building for months. Marcus was just the story that would hurt you most, the betrayal that would break you enough to make you compliant, but not broken enough to leave, because you don't leave, Daniel. You never leave. You just endure. And that's what makes you so perfect for this. The recording hissed in my pocket, digital silence capturing every word, every confession, every casual cruelty she'd been hiding behind her smile. I stood up, walked to the door, turned back. "You're right about one thing," I said. "I don't leave, but you're wrong about what that means." Was I wrong for recording that conversation? Some say yes. My lawyer said it saved my life. Drop a if you think it was justified, or as if you think I crossed the line. Marcus showed up on Thursday night, drunk, angry, pounding on the door at 11 p.m. like he was the one who'd been wronged. I let him in. Of course I did. He stumbled into the living room, reeking of whiskey and poor decisions. The watch caught the light, still there, still ticking, still counting down the seconds until everything collapsed. "What the hell, Danny? What the hell are you doing?" "Making coffee. Want some?" "I don't want coffee. I want to know why you're acting like a psychopath. Rebecca called me crying, said you were interrogating her, accusing her of lying about the baby." "I wasn't accusing. I was asking questions." "She's pregnant with my kid and you're doing whatever this is." He gestured at me, wild and sloppy. "This weird, calm, creepy thing you've been doing. Just man up and react like a normal person." "How should I react, Marcus?" "Be angry, yell, hit me, do something other than this robot act." I poured him coffee anyway, pushed the mug across the counter. He didn't take it. "I've been going through our joint bank account," I said, conversational, like we were discussing the weather. "Found some interesting transactions. Want to see?" "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone, showed him the spreadsheet. $47,000, transferred to you over 18 months. Rebecca authorized all of them, small amounts. Nothing that would trigger fraud alerts, but they add up, don't they? He squinted at the screen. "I don't know what the money she used to pay for your apartment when you got evicted last year. The car repair, the watch on your wrist, all my money, filtered through Rebecca to you. Did you know that, Marcus? Did you know she was stealing from me to fund your life?" His face went pale, then red. "That's not..." "She said it was her money, from her trust fund. Rebecca doesn't have a trust fund. She has a joint account, with me. Everything she gave you came from my paychecks, my bonuses, my promotions. How does that feel, brother? Knowing every nice thing you have was bought with my money while you were sleeping with my wife?" He set down the coffee, back toward the door. "You're making things awkward, Danny." "I'm making things awkward?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "Marcus, you got my wife pregnant, or at least you thought you did, and you're worried about awkward? What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just noting things, taking notes, you might say." He stared at me, scared now, actually scared. "Good. You're not okay," he said. "You need help." I needed help 18 months ago when my brother and my wife decided to destroy my life. But nobody offered then. I smiled. "Don't worry, I'm getting help now. Legal help, financial help, all kinds of help." Marcus left, slammed the door behind him. I heard his car squeal out of the driveway. I picked up his untouched coffee, poured it down the sink. It swirled brown and bitter, circling the drain like everything else in my life that needed to disappear. Marcus showed up drunk, said I was making things awkward. I said nothing makes things awkward like fratricide without the murder. Sarah called on Friday. "I can get a court order for paternity testing," she said. "Given the evidence we have, the medical timeline, the recording, the financial records, a judge will grant it. It's invasive. It's going to make everyone angry, but it will give us definitive proof. How long? 7 days for results. Maybe less if we pay for expedited processing." 7 days. I'd waited 18 months to stop being their fool. 7 days was nothing. "Do it," I said. "Daniel, once we do this, there's no going back. This becomes a legal matter. Court records, public proceedings. Your family will know. Everyone will know." "Good. Let them know. Let everyone know exactly who they are and what they did." She was quiet for a moment. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Okay then, I'll file the motion today. Expect service of process by Monday. And Daniel, prepare yourself. The next 2 weeks are going to be the hardest of your life. They're going to fight. They're going to lie. They're going to try to make you the villain. Let them try, I said. I have 247 pages of evidence that says otherwise. I hung up, looked at the evidence binder on my desk. Color-coded, chronological. Every lie documented. Every betrayal time-stamped. Every piece of the puzzle arranged perfectly. Waiting to be presented to a judge who would see exactly what I saw. A conspiracy. A theft. A betrayal so systematic it could only be called one thing. Premeditated. The confrontation happened in my parents' living room, the same room where this all started. I wanted witnesses. I wanted the people who'd watched her announce her betrayal to watch her answer for it. Sarah sat to my right, lawyer professional, in a gray suit that said, consequences. Tom on my left, solid and steady. My parents on the couch, my father's hand gripping my mother's like he was holding her together. Emma was at a friend's house. Some things children shouldn't see, even if they'd been caught in the middle of them. Rebecca arrived at 3 p.m., Marcus 15 minutes later, like they'd coordinated but wanted it to look accidental. She'd dressed carefully, soft sweater, modest jeans, hair down. The costume of a wronged woman. He wore the watch. What is this? Rebecca asked, looking at Sarah. Who are you? Sarah Mitchell. I'm Daniel's attorney. Attorney? Daniel? What? Sit down, I said. Not loud, not angry, just a statement of fact. Both of you, sit down. They sat, on opposite sides of the room, like distance would save them. I placed the binder on the coffee table. It landed with a heavy thump. 247 pages, tabs color-coded. Evidence organized chronologically, the way you present a case when you want to bury someone under the weight of their own lies. This is everything, I said. Bank statements showing $47,000 in unauthorized transfers to Marcus. Text messages spanning 14 months detailing your affair, your manipulation, your plans. Medical records proving the conception timeline makes it impossible for Marcus to be the father. Emma's drawing, dated March 14th, proving you were together 6 months before you claimed the affair started. And a voice recording. Rebecca's hands tightened in her lap. You recorded me? I recorded us. Legal in this state. One-party consent. Sarah made sure everything was admissible. You can't, I can, and I did. I opened the binder to the first tab. Let's start with the money. Rebecca, can you explain why you transferred $47,000 of our joint funds to Marcus over 18 months? It was loans. He needed my money while sleeping with my wife. Got it. I flipped to the next tab. These are the text messages. Do you want me to read them out loud, or should we skip to the part where you admit the baby isn't Marcus's? Marcus went pale. What? Oh, she didn't tell you? I looked at him. The paternity timeline doesn't work. You were in Chicago during conception. I was in Seattle, which means the baby isn't mine, and it definitely isn't yours. Rebecca? His voice cracked. What is he talking about? She didn't answer, just stared at the binder like it was a living thing that might bite. Let me save you the trouble, I said. I nodded to Sarah. She pulled out her laptop, connected it to my parents' TV, opened the audio file. Rebecca's voice filled the room, clear, casual, damning. Of course it's not Marcus's baby. It's probably Eric's from accounting. We had a thing for a few months, until he got boring. But Daniel, the baby isn't the point. The point is that you'll believe whatever I tell you. You always have. My mother made a sound like something breaking. My father's face went red, then gray, then something harder than stone. Marcus stood up. You told me it was mine. You said we were having a baby together. You said, sit down, Marcus. My voice cut through his rising panic. You don't get to play victim here. You knowingly slept with your brother's wife. You took $47,000 of my money. You used my niece as a cover story and bought her silence with ice cream. The fact that Rebecca lied to you too doesn't make you innocent." He sat. I kept going, because this was the moment I'd been building toward for 3 weeks, the moment where every lie collapsed under the weight of evidence. Medical records. I flipped to another tab. Rebecca's pregnancy dating scan was done at what she claimed was her 12-week appointment, but the measurements showed 14 weeks, 3 days. The conception window was August 27th, plus or minus 3 days. I have GPS data, hotel receipts, and work schedules proving I was 900 miles away. Marcus was in Chicago. So, who was it, Rebecca? Who's Eric from accounting? Or was there someone else? She was crying now, but they weren't sorry tears. They were trapped animal tears, scared tears. "And here's the part that really gets me," I said, my voice finally cracking. Not from weakness, from the sheer weight of it all. "You had 3 previous pregnancies according to your medical history. 2 miscarriages, 1 termination. 18 months ago. You told me we'd never conceived. You cried with me every month when your period came, said maybe it was you, maybe it was me, maybe we needed help. But we'd been pregnant, you'd been pregnant, and you'd gotten rid of it without telling me." My father stood up, walked over, put his hand on the binder, that thick stack of evidence that represented 247 pages of betrayal. "Son," he said, his voice rough, "you did all this alone?" "Yeah, Dad, I did. Because I had to. Because nobody else was going to. You know what nobody tells you about betrayal? It's not the act. It's the moment you realize you saw the signs and ignored them. What was your sign? The one you wish you'd listened to?" Sarah opened her briefcase, pulled out a manila envelope. Official, sealed. The kind that changes lives. "The court granted Daniel's motion for the paternity testing," she said. "Given the evidence of adultery and the disputed timeline, the judge ordered expedited DNA analysis. The results came back this morning." Rebecca's face went white. "You can't. You had no right." "I had every right. The pregnancy affects marital assets, custody considerations, and financial obligations. The court agreed." Sarah broke the seal, pulled out the document, lab letterhead, official signatures, numbers that don't lie. "This is a comparative DNA analysis between Marcus Thompson and the alleged fetus. The test was conducted by Gene Tech Labs, a court-certified facility." She looked up. "Would you like me to read the findings?" Nobody spoke. The silence was so heavy it had weight. Sarah read anyway. "Sample collection date, October 12th. Analysis completion, October 18th. Genetic markers analyzed, 16 loci. Conclusion, probability of paternity." She paused, let the words hang there. 0.00%. Marcus Thompson is excluded as the biological father. Marcus made a sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. He turned to Rebecca. "You said it was mine. You looked me in the eye and said—" "There's more," Sarah interrupted. She pulled out another document. Given the inconsistencies in Rebecca's statements, the court also ordered a comprehensive medical examination. An independent OB/GYN conducted an ultrasound yesterday morning. Rebecca stood up. "You can't share my medical—" "You signed a waiver as part of the court order. Sit down." She sat. Sarah continued. "The examination revealed the following: no fetal heartbeat, no gestational sac, no evidence of current or recent pregnancy. The uterus shows normal anatomy with no signs of conception within the last 6 months." The words landed like bombs, one by one, detonating everything. "She's not pregnant," Tom said, his voice flat with shock. "She was never pregnant. The ultrasound photo she presented was downloaded from an online stock image site. Purchase traced to her credit card on August 30th. The The pregnancy tests she showed Daniel were purchased from Amazon, 3 different brands, all positive, likely obtained through online forums that sell used tests for this specific purpose. Sarah closed the folder. Rebecca faked the entire pregnancy to manipulate multiple parties into specific behaviors. My mother was crying. Real sobs now. Not for Rebecca, for me, for what I'd endured, for the son who had had to document his own destruction just to prove it was happening. Why? I asked. The only word I could get out. Why do all this? Rebecca looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something real behind her eyes. Not love, not remorse, just cold, calculated truth. Because you would have stayed, she said. Even if I just admitted the affair, even if I said I wanted a divorce, you would have tried to fix it, would have gone to counseling, would have blamed yourself. This way, with a baby, with your brother, with public humiliation, you'd be so broken you'd either leave on your own or stay and be compliant. Either way, I won. You didn't win. No, she agreed. I underestimated you. I thought noted meant you were checking out, giving up. I didn't realize it meant you were taking inventory. 0% match, $0 settlement, 0 reasons to ever look back. The divorce was finalized 93 days later, fast by legal standards. But when you have 247 pages of evidence, a recorded confession, and proof of fraud, things move quickly. The prenuptial agreement held. Section 7, Clause C. Rebecca got nothing. Not the house, not the car, not a single dollar from our joint accounts. She walked away with exactly what she'd contributed to our marriage. Lies. Marcus was removed from the family business, my father's company, the job I'd helped him get, the salary I'd supplemented with $47,000 in loans that were never going to be repaid. Dad didn't yell, didn't lecture, just called him into his office and said, "Clean out your desk." My parents apologized. Long, tearful conversations where they tried to explain how they'd missed it, how they trusted her, how they should have seen the signs. I listened, accepted their words. But I also drew a line. "I forgive you," I told my mother. "But things are different now. I love you. But I don't trust the same way, and that's going to take time." She nodded, crying, understanding that some breaks heal crooked. "Noted," my father said, then looked at me. "That word, it means something different now, doesn't it?" "Yeah," I said. "It means boundaries, not bridges. It means I see you, I hear you, and I'm choosing what to do about it." He nodded. "That's fair. Should I have done this publicly or privately? There's no right answer, but I made my choice, and I'd make it again." 3 years later, I'm sitting in a different house, smaller. Not the showpiece Rebecca insisted we needed. This one has a yard, a porch, a kitchen that smells like cinnamon rolls on Sunday mornings. Emma lives here now. Not visits, lives. Marcus and his wife, ex-wife now, had their own implosion 6 months after my divorce. Turned out compulsive lying runs in patterns. Affairs, debt, restraints. The kind of mess that ends with supervised visitation and court-appointed therapists. When social services started looking for stable placement for Emma, I stepped up. "You sure about this?" Tom had asked. "That's a big responsibility." "She's been my family since she was born," I said. "That doesn't change because her father's a disaster." The adoption paperwork is framed on my wall, right next to Emma's new drawing. It's different from the first one. Same cheap paper, same waxy crayons. But this time, it's me, her, Tom, and Sarah around a table. A birthday cake in the center. Candles that are just yellow and orange scribbles, the way kids draw fire. At the top, in careful purple letters, "Real family. She's 10 now. Still draws. But now it's manga characters and her pet rabbit, a gray fluff ball named Soup that she insisted on naming herself. She's in therapy, doing well, learning that family doesn't always look like what they told you it should. Tonight's her birthday. 10 years old. Tom's bringing pizza. Sarah's bringing a cake. She definitely didn't bake herself. And I'm setting the table. Plates, napkins, the fancy glasses we save for special occasions. Emma comes downstairs. Hair in 2 braids she did herself. That gap-tooth smile that makes everything worth it. Uncle Danny? Yeah, kiddo? Can I ask you something? Always. She points to the small frame on my desk, the one that looks out of place among the tech manuals and coffee mugs. It's a piece of white cardstock with one word written in black Sharpie. Noted. What does that really mean? She asks. Like, really, really mean? I kneel down to her level, the way I did 3 years ago when she showed me that first drawing. The way I've done 100 times since then for questions about homework and nightmares, and why some people hurt the people they're supposed to love. It means I see you, I say. I hear you, and I'm choosing what to do about it. It means I'm paying attention, not just to what people say, but to what they do. And it means I get to decide who deserved my time, my energy, my trust. She thinks about this. Her face does that scrunchy thing it does when she's processing something big. So, you noted that we're family now? She asks. Like, really family? Yeah, kiddo, I noted that from the beginning. She hugs me, hard. The way kids hug when they're afraid if they let go, everything disappears. I'm glad you're my family, she says into my shoulder. The real kind. Me too, Em, me too. The doorbell rings. Tom's voice yelling about pizza getting cold. Sarah's laugh. The sound of people who chose each other, who keep choosing each other, filling up the spaces where a blood family used to be. Emma runs to answer it. I stay there for a second, looking at that frame. One word. That started as a shield and became a philosophy. Noted. I see you, I hear you, and I choose what to do about it. The drawing on my desk sits in a simple black frame now. Me, her, Tom, Sarah around a table. Emma drew it with those waxy Crayola crayons, the kind that smell like childhood and second chances. At the top, in careful purple letters, Real Family. And in the bottom corner, almost hidden, she wrote one word she'd heard me say 1,000 times. Noted, with a little heart next to it. Because she understood before I did. The best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something they can never touch. And I noted that from day one. Tell me about your noted moment. When did you decide to choose yourself? When did you realize family isn't who you're born to, but who chooses you back? Drop your story below. I want to hear about your real family. The ones who earned the title. The ones who stayed when they didn't have to. Because of that, that's the story worth telling.